Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday of the Petty Crew Radio Show. Y'all know who I am by now. I am that crazy guy that they call Boss Hogg, aka Mr. Put My Foot Up in Your Butt, aka if you play with me, it's going to end up bad for you. With that being said, we have a great show lined up for you guys. So please make sure you like, please make sure you share today's show. I have a lovely guest that I am excited to have with us today. I don't know which personality I'm going to get today from our conversation, but I know whoever I get is definitely going to be exciting. So let me go on and first let everybody know who's on the show. As usual, I have my partner in crime all the way from San Antonio, Texas. Diamond, how you doing?
Hey, it's Diamond, and I'm having an awesome day. How about you?
Man, I'm well. What's up?
Ready to go?
Okay, you keeping it short today. Normally, you tell everybody what you're doing and the whole nine, but that's all good. So let's
I
get
was saving that for later. That's all. I was saving that for later. That's all.
okay, cool. So I have a lovely guest today. Uh, I was introduced to this young lady being on a show called Spiritual Cocktails, and very sweet young lady. Again, I'm kind of disappointed because I thought she was going to use her show name, but again, I'm sure we're going to see both personalities who I'm going to introduce today. Uh, we have with us in the building today, Melissa Branton. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Boss Hogg. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So let everybody know who you are.
My name is Melissa Bratton, but you guys may know me or see me on Facebook as MD Brat. And so Boss Hogg he's right. I have split personalities. So we don't know which one's going to show up. We don't know if the evangelist is going to show up, or we don't know if Melissa's going to show up. So whoever shows up, hey, I'm a firm believer. If it comes up, it might well just come out. So we're going to
Oh,
have fun today and just be a little petty.
yes, listen. Please make sure again you guys like and share, man. We have a great guest who's going to be weighing in on some of the topics that we have today. And so let me let you guys know what we're going to be talking about today. First and foremost, we already know about this brother, Derrick Jaxn. He has made social media headlines. Him and his wife have been dragged from pillar to post behind him being a, I guess, self-titled relationship group guru.
Mm-hmm.
However, right now, as we know it, there have been three different women who have come out to basically call him out on his BS. And so we got to jump into it. But I also want to discuss his wife who has been dragged into his drama, his mess, because I don't really follow this guy. I was actually told about him from one of my friends, and folks didn't even know he was married. And so now everybody is seeing his wife. And so we're going to jump into the aspect of the wife also. We're going to talk about Rickey Smiley. For you guys who follow me on social media, I made a post and I asked the question, would you cut your dreads for $100,000 job opportunity? Just because I want to see what you guys were going to say and how were you going to weigh in. However, I do have the video that got us, that sparked the conversation and that we're going to have today. And again, I'm going to ask you, would you cut your dreads for $100,000 job opportunity? So we're going to play the video from Rickey Smiley. And lastly, we're going to wrap up the show. A young brother out of Arkansas. He's 32 years old. He was on his way home. He was driving a U-Haul when he was pulled over by a Arkansas state trooper. Now, this incident happened last year, but just like how everything is in the world, when we dealing with these issues with police and people of color, we only find out like a year later because of litigation and everything else, what is going on. And the reason why I want to have this conversation, because if you watched the show last Sunday, I had shared a video of a black coach who coaches HBCU college, he takes out time to teach his players how to interact with the police. And so I want you to go back and watch that show, and then you'll understand why we're going to have this show and this topic today. Just so happened, like I always do while I'm working, I get a ton of stories, and seeing this story come across my timeline, and I was like, wow, we just had this conversation on interactions, and we're going to get into the details of that. But again, this is the Petty Crew Radio Show again, so thank everybody for tuning in to today's show. Please make sure you like and you share today's show. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is, I initially had one way I wanted to do the show, but I'm, like everything else, I changed my mind. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the Rickey Smiley conversation. I'm going to share this video in which he posted on YouTube. We're going to watch the video, and then we're going to weigh in on this conversation of cutting one's dreads for a job opportunity that potentially would have paid this brother $100,000. So without further ado, let me share my screen with you guys. And again, while I'm getting that together, please make sure you like and share. And if you can, in the comments, let me know, would you share or would you cut your dreads for a $100,000 job opportunity? And here we go. This is Rickey Smiley.
I feel like I need to explain my last post. Now I'm going in. So I just put out a post. I don't care who get mad, fuck it. So I just put out a post. I hooked up a family member with a job that could potentially pay him 6 figures if he hustled. So a family member down at homeless trying to set you up where you could, for the first time, get your own place. For the first time, probably, get out of the city that you live in, so that you can move to another city that have an opportunity to grow. Those of us that have had to live in another city have had an opportunity to grow and get out of your comfort zone, get away from your friends, family members, get away from the rat race, so you have an opportunity to grow and man up and become a man and grow. So I said, hey, all right, you leave tomorrow, got everything packed up? He said, yes, I'm packed up. I said, okay. Here's one of the things we talked about earlier. I'm gonna go ahead and get your plane ticket and get you out of here. And I put you on the flight, send you on out of there. The man that got you set up already, got your roommate, cause the place you're gonna be working, man, the tips be like, you can, if you hustle, and you get I've seen people get $200 to $500 in tips every day, plus your salary, right? So, I see a couple of people on the, on the comments. No. But I said, hey, so when you go down there, I already called the people. I talked to people. I need you to go to the barbershop and get your hair cut, and I'll go ahead and get your fresh start. Because one thing about dreadlock, they can grow back. Go down there with a nice, fresh, clean, neat look. And because you represent me, if you don't want it, don't agree to take it. So you said, okay, cool. So when coming out to us, hey, before I get this plane ticket, go to the barbershop, take a picture of you, send it to me. I'll go ahead and book your flight to make sure that you are on point and that you're looking out. Now, the job don't require that. I require it, right? Again, in my book, what I talk about, like I said, I was on stage at a show. Steve Harvey was the headline. He said, hey man, you need to go. You can't come tomorrow. I had a brand new jockey suit on. I had just bought Hittens. He said, when we perform tomorrow, you need to put a suit on, right? This is all about your attitude. Don't don't take up this stuff. Start taking up for men, for young men. So I didn't wait until tomorrow. I went that night. I introduced him, and I came back with the suit on that night just to close the show. And from that point on, he saw I was serious. And the fact is, I'm where I am because of the decision that I made to listen to somebody that was trying to help me or whatever. I thought the jogging suit was great. It was a brand new jogging suit, but he didn't think the jogging suit was appropriate for his show. So I don't think your dreadlock is appropriate for you representing me, because if I'm on the show with him, I'm representing him because it's his show and he's the headliner. He required a suit. Go put the fucking suit on and keep your mouth shut and humble yourself and do what the man asks you to do. He ain't trying to help you, taught me a lesson. Then when you get to where you are, you can wear your hair, your clothes, whatever, the way you want to wear it, right? And it's crazy, and it's just an opportunity of a lifetime. It's crazy. No, the job didn't require it. I required it. I'm not buying no plane ticket. I'm not sending nobody nowhere on no job interview with looking a certain way. If that's your style and that's your thing, or whatever, then go out and find your own job. You the one asked, you the one told me that you needed to help, some help, and you want to put some money into the system or whatever, you know, and get you something regular or whatever. So I made some of my connections and made a phone call to help you do what you want to do. It's the craziest thing in the world. And ladies, stop making excuses for young black men. Stay out of the way. Stay out of the way. This female masculinity shit or whatever. Hey, if a man tells another man, a younger man, what to do and how to do it for his own good, then it needs to be respected. Period. It's crazy to me. Some dreadlocks, or pull your pants up, or be presentable. I said it ain't about nobody not accepting you who you are. It's about being professional and presentable. You're gonna go work at a yacht club with millions and millions of dollars walking in and out of there. One thing Gary he taught me a long time ago when I first moved to Dallas, he said, you need to go on with that Birmingham shit. Don't come to Dallas with a Birmingham mentality. If you're in Dallas, don't go to Birmingham with a Dallas mentality. Make the adjustment and change and figure out where you need to be professionally and just try to do better and do something different from what you're doing. Like Gary had to tell, I showed up in Dallas in a fucking Tahoe, sitting on some things with lights under the bottom. And what he did was he took me over to the competing radio station and let me look in the parking lot and see what they was driving and how they was doing and how they was dressing and how they was acting. He said, Gary with the T taught me this. He said, when you look like you got money, money will come to you. I understand you trying to keep it real or whatever, but man, listen, you need to dress better. You need to drive better. You need to do better. Stop being cheap. You can afford it. And the minute I changed and turned that around or whatever, my success went through the roof. Just a little advice. I didn't cuss him out. You know what I'm saying? I didn't tell Steve, well, fuck you. I'm gonna go, I'm not gonna do the show then. What? I ended up opening up for the Kings of Comedy. And then I ended up with this syndicated radio show because of that one decision to be respectful and obedient. Respectful and obedient. Yes, sir. But I thank God for my granddaddy, because what my granddaddy taught me was discipline and respect. And when you have discipline and respect, you're going to go far. So this the video, because it was just too much to type. So this the video in response to what I last posted. Anybody give you an opportunity and you want the opportunity, whatever they require you to do to get your foot in the door, then do it. Then do it. turn down an opportunity of a lifetime is fucking crazy. I say it, but I say it, and get mad at me. I can't wait till this damn next book come out. When this next book come out, the opera shit, nobody gonna have one don't fuck with me anyway. But when this next book come out, or whatever, I want to thank all of my family members for the content. Thank you so much for the content. This next book is gonna be great. And it is what it is. And I don't make nothing up. I just report it. So I'm not stressed out about it. Hey, you can't make nobody want nothing to you. And I don't care what you say about me. All my shows sold out for the weekend. My outfit hanging up. I'm about to go out here and get my ass on stage and get these jokes. I just got off work and driving down to Houston. So it's all good. But just remember, if I provide you an opportunity, humble yourself, shut up.
Okay, we have finished that. I just had to cut it off. Please forgive me. I had to end it because now he is rambling. Again, you guys are watching the show, and right now the topic is: would you cut your dreadlocks for a 100K opportunity? You have seen where this conversation has came from. And now I want to talk about it. So before I say anything, because I'm looking at the comments, I see GCJ. I see you. Thank you for tuning in. I see apparently you are friends with Diamond. Love it. There's absolutely nothing to research. This is from the horse's mouth. And so now weigh in. And before I weigh in, because I got shit I got to say. So let me talk my shit. So before I talk mine, we're going to turn it over to the guest and let me know your thoughts about this video and this conversation. What's up?
That's just crazy to me. Anybody who has an opportunity to go higher should go higher. Not unless you're just comfortable being stuck in your comfort zone. So obviously this person, does not really have a desire to come up. Don't want to leave from within their family. They just want to be stuck in the hood because that's just insane. Rickey was right. Your hair, you can grow your hair back. So I'm lost in that as far as why he just wouldn't cut the dreads. 600 figures. Listen, if Rickey Smiley come to me today and say I need you to cut all your hair off, I'm going to do it. Because guess what? I can buy some hair. I can grow some hair.
Mm-hmm.
That 600 figures is about to change my entire life. So that's just insane. I would like to know a little bit more about the young fellow who turned it down. Does he have mental health problems? Something's not clicking.
Okay.
Something's not clicking at all.
Diamond, because I got questions. So Diamond,
I totally agree with Melissa. I have changed my hairstyle for opportunities that were way less than 6 figures. Because at the end of the day, I know who I am as a person. I know that there are certain things that I do that is not necessarily always accepted. I am a teacher. So there are certain things in the education field that is looked upon, that is expected. And when I go to work, guess what? I'm an educator. So if it means there was a time, it's a little bit more lenient now, but there was a certain time an educator wore a certain hairstyle. We had to dress a certain way. We had to speak a certain way. There were just certain things we didn't do it in. Nowhere do I make anywhere near 6 figures. But I did what I needed to do for that opportunity and for that particular time in my life. That I belong to an organization that got offended because I changed my hair color to blue. So have I conformed to different things for different reasons at different points in times in my life? Yes, I have. So if I've done it for less than 6 figures, I'm definitely going to do it for those 6 figures. And especially once you find out where this particular job is at, there are so many more opportunities, so many more doors. And some things are just a test. That could have been Rickey's way of testing him to see how bad do you really want this, that I'm finna invest this into you. Because if I'm gonna put you in a position to get you here, I'm gonna help you get to the next level as well. I'm gonna put you in other positions So, you know, a lot of times I think definitely that family member probably was someone younger, because our young people today, a lot of them, not all of them, but they have that mentality that, oh, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. And they tend to be stuck. I have dealt with it on a personal level. There have been things that I've guided my sons in telling them, hey, you probably should do this and that if you want to get through there. And they didn't necessarily do it. But guess what? That same door that mama told you, if you do A, B, C, D, you can get in there a little faster, a little easier. And because they did it their way, they might have made it through the door. They might not have, but they definitely saw and understood that door around the world a year or two later. Oh yeah, I probably should have listened to my mom and went ahead and did it that way. But because I are so busy trying to say, oh, I'm gonna do it my way. Oh, it's this. So I'm sorry. When opportunity presents itself, baby, take opportunity. Take opportunity. If it's not harming you, putting you in danger, or none, your hair can grow back. And in today's style, you can sew on some dreadlocks. Let's just be real. There's a lot of men on anyway. So we can read you some dreadlocks after you get to your 6 figures. You do it in the military, you wear a certain hairstyle, and you don't start out making that kind of money. You make it burn, you can pay your rent. So come on, that was a little far-fetched. Ricky, if you're listening, I cut my hair. If you want to help me get 6 figures, I'm just saying, I'll cut it out or make it longer, whichever works for us. I'll take that opportunity.
Yeah, most definitely.
Well, okay, I've heard both of you guys because I got questions too. And so let me tell you the first thing that popped out in mind when I watched that video. The first thing he said when he lost me was when he said, this is not the job's request, it's my request.
Mm-hmm.
He lost his leverage in the conversation with me. Because I got a question that also piggybacks on this question. Would you cut your dreadlocks for 100K? My next question will be, and I want you guys to think about it when I get to you guys. Why is there a string attached to this opportunity? So I want y'all to think about that, because that's the second thing that I noticed. There is a string attached to this opportunity I'm turning you to. The third thing I noticed, he gave the story of Steve Harvey telling him on his show he needs to dress a certain way for his show. And he tried to compare himself to Steve Harvey in that situation. What Ricky does not understand is that he was the middleman in a situation. He wasn't the man. He compared himself to Steve and tried to, because at a certain point when you're watching it, what he's doing is he's trying to make an excuse for the reason why he wanted his cousin, whoever this relative, to cut his hair. But the underlying issue was that Steve Harvey, as a young lady pointed out, Ricky just didn't like the dreads. Remember, he said it wasn't the job's requirement,
right?
But it's mine because you represent me. Right. Which again, I asked the second question of, why is there a string attached to this opportunity in the first place? So, hold on, Brett, hold on, because again, we're gonna dive into this. I'm just pointing out what I've noticed before I give my thoughts about it.
Mm-hmm.
So here are my thoughts, and then I want you guys to answer this question. My thoughts are: one, don't give me nothing with strings attached. Don't present anything to me, because in real life, we don't like to deal with people if there's some sort of strings attached. You guys are women. If a man said to you, listen, I would love to take you out. I would love to court you. I want to go through this whole thing with you, but you got to do X, Y, Z. See, that's an opportunity with a string attached. And again, in what Rickey was doing was he was trying to make us think and believe his rationale behind why he's so upset. But he never thought about the brother, his relatives' feelings regarding him having to cut. Think about what he said. He said, before I pay the ticket, in other words, I'm holding this opportunity hostage until you go down to the barbershop. This is what he said. He said, you need to go down to the barbershop. Once you get that haircut done, once you cut your dreads off, then let me know, and then I'm gonna pay for the ticket. Why are you standing in between my $100,000 opportunity? I did not take, and I love Rickey Smiley. As I was telling Diamond before we went live, I love Rickey Smiley. I don't think he's funny, but as a radio personality, I love what he did here in Dallas, Texas. He was very active in the community. So and honestly, I pattern and try to pattern my show after what he said here in Dallas. And that's just the honest God truth. But in this instance, I just want to say to Rickey, because I don't know, and being that we got a young lady on here that says she's a friend with Rickey on Facebook, I hope you send this damn video, tag his ass in it if you can. I really would, because I don't appreciate the fact that he's trying to sell us on his, what I call his fake outrage. I can't believe that he would not cut his hair, but you're holding, maybe the relative felt like, I don't want to fool with you if there's a string attached, because if you pull in this one string for this opportunity, what other strings do we got if I work with you? And I'm not saying that Rickey was probably trying to do this in malice. I'm not saying that he had an agenda. What I do have a problem with is that this was not a genuine opportunity, because if the job didn't require it, and then I heard you guys say you can grow that shit back. Listen, people who grow dreads, especially if they are long, you guys know me. I'm in the processes of having mine locked. It takes a long time when you see a person. It takes years when you see a person who has their dreads that damn near, I don't care if they at the shoulder. That is years of maintenance, years of growing, and to say, hey, you represent me, you need to cut your dreads because I want you to go down there. What if that brother didn't want to take another 15 years to grow his dreads? Because again, if you know anything about natural hair and growing, your shit is not going to grow to the length of your shoulders in 2 years. That happens within 5 or 6 years. And so again, I'm going to go back to my question because I want to hear from you, lady. If you guys remember the question I asked, why was there strings attached to this opportunity? I'm listening. Why put a string to this opportunity? Come on, Brad. I see you. You itching. Let's go.
Yes, it's a string, and I hate to disagree with you because my name is attached to it. Think about what he said. The guy came to him. So Rickey's playing the middle name. And so if I'm going to somebody higher to try to get you an opportunity, guess what? Not only do you have to represent yourself, but you have to represent me. So yeah, so Rickey probably asked him to do that to see if he has the ability to line up with what he's about to present to him. Something simple, just cut your hair.
Okay, but that might be simple to you, Brad, but that's not simple to the next person.
Then guess what? Then stay where you at. Because if you could do it by yourself, you didn't have to come through me. And I don't know how we got on this, but I went through something similar like this before. Recently, I was the middle person. So if you can't get the job done without me, you need to line up with whatever I got to say. Bottom line, if not, do it yourself, because my name is on the line. And if something go wrong, guess who? They're not going to go to that person. They're going to look at MD Brat. They're going to look at Rickey. Yeah. Like, Rickey, you sent this guy to us. So I agree with everything Rickey said. The guy came to him. Rickey made a request and the guy didn't want to do it. So you know what? Stay where you at.
So okay, so we talk about name, and you mentioned name again, and I think you need to hear because I come to you, and again, I'm glad I have you on because we're gonna just have to disagree with that, and that's what makes a great conversation. If I need help, again, let's think about this.
Right.
If you know my situation, regardless of whatever it was, it doesn't matter. We know what Rickey said, and Rickey, and I have to go back and look at the video, but Rickey wasn't like this dude came to me. I guess maybe there was a conversation, and then he's like, "Hey, I got something for you."
Mm-hmm.
However it was, it really wasn't about your name. You knew a position, but listen to what I'm saying. You knew of an opportunity. That don't have nothing to do with your name. You travel in a certain circle, and so whatever that opportunity was, you're privy to it. Okay, hey, listen, this is what this does. Check on it. Again, the fact is that Rickey stated himself.
Right.
And I want to be clear because see, this type of shit can hurt you in court in real life.
Okay.
You got to be careful what you admit to. And why do I say that? If Rickey would have never said it wasn't the job preference,
right,
it's mine, then Rickey would have a leg to stand on. But once he admitted that it wasn't really about the job, because he admitted it really wasn't about the job, is my personal preference, is how I want you to look for somebody else. See, to me, there lies the problem is because they don't have nothing to do with your work ability. I want you to look a certain way to them because are you ashamed of dreads? Because then we're going into the history of why people of color grow and lock their hair in the first place. So are you ashamed of that heritage? That's why I said, see, I'm going to have 50 million questions if I'm talking to Rickey. Because right. I'm going to want him to tell me, oh, no, I don't have a problem because the root of it is, let's be honest, and he might not be honest, and I'll tell him he's lying if I talk to him in his face. I would ask Rickey, the truth is, do you have a problem with people wearing dreads? I understand, and I'm going to turn it over to Diamond. I understand when he says humble, but I also understand manipulation. It's so much going on in this video. He said, humble yourself, do this, and then when you get to where you want to go, then you can do what you want to do. He just wanted the job. The job didn't say cut your hair and then, listen, I'm a truck driver. There's a trucking company called Avery Express. You're talking about you experiencing something in real life. I'm telling you for a fact. There's a company called Avery Express. They will not hire people. Mm-hmm. It's them. They will not hire men who have visible tattoos. In other words, because in the summertime, men go wear short shirts. Mm-hmm. And so they won't hire you if you got visible tattoos on your arm.
Right.
None of that. But see, that's across the board. That's not black. That's not white. Leg tattoos, none of that. So if your ass do that, guess what? You're going to wear pants in the summer, in the winter. If you got tattoos on your arms, you're going to wear long sleeves in the summer, the winter. Come on, talk to me, Diamond, because I'll be all day on it.
Yeah, because there's of course more questions, more hidden things in the background. But at the end of the day, regardless of why Rickey doesn't, he might like dreads, he might not. That's to be given. But at the end of the day, this young man is going to be, because he's the middle person, this young man is going to be a representation of him. So maybe he needs to be represented a certain way, or because he is the middle person, even though they didn't say this is a requirement, he knows what he's dealing with. So he knows a little bit more on let me help you get to that path. There's so many different avenues you can take. We both belong to organizations where there are times we have to sign our name to a piece of paper for someone else to become a member of that organization. The organization might not say you need to do X, Y, and Z, although they do have certain standards. My standards might be a little higher. So you might need to do X, Y, and Z before I'm willing to put my name on a dotted line to get you through the process of where you're trying to get to. All of that comes into play. I don't necessarily look at it as Ricky's trying to manipulate him. Whatever his reasoning is behind it, whether he likes dreads or not, it's our heritage. We all know that. We all know that we do. Dreads come into the African American heritage, all of it. But I don't count him wrong for admitting because he said, no, it's not a requirement of the job. This is something I'm requiring. So for whatever reason, because he's a little person, but he also knows his relative's background history. So whether he's testing him or whether it's just because you are now representing me. Yes, I'm the middle person, but they're still going to come back and say, hey, man, your cousin, you didn't just had me to hire. He looking like X, Y, Z, D, A, B, C, D. This what you see me? So it's still, regardless if you the head boss, the middle person, whatever, it's still a reflection of you. I refer people to jobs because I was the middle person. If that person did good or bad, guess what? The comment comes back. I've also had people to refer me, and guess what? They call me because that person's gonna call them, whether you good, bad, or indifferent. They're gonna call the other middleman person and give them some type of report on you. So what he's doing is he's like, hey, I'm gonna be the middle person, but I know what these people are gonna come back with. So let me prepare you for what needs to be, whether it's a requirement or not. There's something in there that had to be where it needs to be A, B, C, D. And even if it was, I'm testing you to make sure you for real about things because of the arena, because you're about to be around this yacht club with these particular people. There are certain standards and certain habits that you need to exhibit.
Okay, so I think, okay, well, let me first say, I think we're assuming because we really don't know. We don't know the opportunity.
Right.
We don't know. So assuming we can, again, I don't want to assume. I want to just go by what we know from Rickey. And I get y'all, I get it. I get what he's saying. I don't, if we don't like to fool with people because they're come with certain strings, we can't decide which strings are good and which are not. Because if that's the case, we need to be up and down about anything with a string attached.
Right.
And so, again, I get it. Hey, you can get your hair cut, again, but again, his analogy, and I'm just going by what out of Ricky's own mouth, he equated himself to being a boss. Steve Harvey was a boss on his show. And if I'm the boss, we're not talking about the opportunity boss, because there's a difference if Rickey Smiley said, I got a call from the boss. And I don't know if you knew or not that we don't, we really don't like dreads or whatever the case may be, because in certain states, as one of my Facebook friends pointed out, in California, it's illegal. Now, you have some states where corporate jobs can tell you to cut your dreads. It happens to women and men all the time. But in California, it's illegal to do that. Again, I'm just going by his words without trying to dig any further into what was what, because when we're doing that, we're beginning to try to paint a picture that was never painted. I'm only responding to the picture that we know of, which was one. It wasn't the job. See, apparently he knows something about the job that he knows it doesn't require you to be groomed a certain way. We know too that this is Rickey Smiley personal position. Because why? Rickey Smiley don't have dreads. Because what if it was a little bit different because Rickey had dreads? Because I'm sure if Rickey had dreads, it would have been a different conversation. He wouldn't have told a man who also has dreads cut his hair. And then I'm gonna let you chime back in, Brad. Then too, again, what are you surprised about? See, this young man's, whoever he is, even we didn't have to know about this brother's life, because again, in understanding, and I study psychology, understanding when somebody's trying to frame a picture, Rickey framed the picture from the beginning by trying to give a little background history of this person. He did that. That was him on YouTube. He clearly said you know, this would have been his biggest opportunity. Woo, 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 woo. And see, you didn't have to frame a picture because that's what he did. So once he framed it, that's why we're speaking and comments are coming the way they're coming, because he framed the picture instead of being disappointed that this brother could, you know, chose not to, for whatever reason, cut his dreads. Come on, talk to me, Brett. What's up, quick?
I just think it was a test. I think Rickey just put him to the test, just like he mentioned that Steve Harvey tested him and say, hey, you know, what you have on is okay, but I prefer you to put on a suit because this is what we look like over here. So anytime a person go to the next level, we got to understand that there's going to come, you're going to have to sacrifice somewhere along the line. And so I just really think that Rickey was trying to just test him to see how he will respond, because obviously we don't know the other job. So
okay, hold that thought, Brett. GCJ, this is a comment that I got up that I want to read. She says lots of assumptions because he said the relative had the potential. See, that's the key word, the potential to earn 6 figures. Okay. If he hustled. Rickey also mentioned tips. This doesn't sound like a corporate America. And even if it was corporate America, like the host mentioned, you have to be careful with telling people how to present to a job physically. However, this case, it sounds like Rickey's personal bias, and that kind of sums up this whole conversation. This was Rickey's personal bias, and I'm gonna turn it over to y'all. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna turn it over to you guys. I believe when certain people get to a certain position in life, and I'm glad that you mentioned this because it leads into this statement. I believe that when people reach a certain level in life, or where they think that they have got to a point to where they can make decisions, and it's clear from Rickey's video, he feels that he's at a point to where he could tell somebody else, this is how you need to present yourself. We run into this issue. And the first thing that comes to mind after reading this young lady's post is the church. And you can testify to this, Brett. She says she was an evangelist. You don't know which one you go get, but we all go to church. And at the end of all my pettiness, at the end of the day, I'm a damn church boy too. Don't ever get it twisted. One of the reasons why the world look at us crazy and sometimes chooses not to join the churches, because what do they see? They see us dressed up. They see us driving on the outside, nice cars. They see the preachers doing it. We even condemn each other as Christians because, and y'all know, if you never experienced them old heads getting on you about some shit,
right?
Because what happened is they forget that they too were in a position where they were beginning babies in the church. They didn't know no better. But then you done got an old head that's, you know, in their late 70s and 80s. Now they're talking to one that's coming into the church, and now they feel like, because again, they reached a certain position.
Right.
Now I can tell you and look down on you, not remembering it was once a time where you were there too. You still the same you just a little bit more seasoned if you're truly walking right. You know, that means that you learned your life lessons. You know what I'm saying? And so I love what Miss CJ come in and said, because I thought about that. That was the last thing I thought about. I'm like, oh, this brother feels that he's arrived to a place where he can now tell somebody else. And to go back to what y'all saying, it's the name and representation. Now I'm big enough of a person to where they go look at me crazy. Again, we don't know about job performance. We're just talking about appearance. And so your appearance to them, well, we don't know, so I don't even want to assume. But in my eyes, in Rickey's eyes, your dreads, because this is the main focus of this conversation, your dreads, I don't feel represent me. It was about Rickey. And that's why I said that's where my problem honestly is that this whole opportunity was based around strings and a bias. And so again, I understand, you know, your guys' positions and everybody else's positions. I'm going to read a couple of comments from my social media page. And so Taylor Dean, shout out to Taylor Dean. He says, opportunity not guaranteed, which one of the comments said, no. If it is, yes, learn all I can, live a simple lifestyle, collect all the money, start creating my own business or firm. I get closer dreadheads in the lobby. Another person said, Derrick Frederick says, I turned down 2 for not shaving my beard and cutting my hair. I can hustle and make my own $100,000 with the right investment and hustle. Another gentleman, Anthony Wilson, said, I currently work for a company with my locks making over 70,000. When I applied for other opportunities back before I was wearing locks, those positions were already filled within. If a job doesn't want me for my talent, then I'll pass. Then we have a young lady before we move on. Adrian Wafer says, yep, with no hesitation, if it was my dream job and something I actually would enjoy doing. And so we again have and see people who are on both sides of this conversation. I personally, again, as much as I like Rickey, I'm just going to have to say to this brother, you're wrong. And he might not agree, but I really wouldn't care because, again, because you wouldn't like somebody present to you an opportunity with strings. We don't like that. Let's be real. And depending on the strings, can we be honest about that? Again, I'm a man, and if I present it to a woman that I would like to date and go out with, and I'm like, hey, I would do this, and I could take you here, but at the end of the night, I mean, for all this spending, we gotta have sex. See, then now the string conversation changes because we see it all the time in relationships. Let's be real. We see this type of conversation with dating, and so, like I said, it just kind of bothered me with that. But again, that's our little two pennies and all that on that. Any final words before we move on to the next conversation? Talk to me, Diamond. I want to hear from you, Brett, because look at you. You lit up. You better say something.
I am, because I think we're taking his word and just looking too far into it because just because he said the opportunity. Think about it. It's Rickey Smiley. So it's more than the opportunity. More than likely, if Rickey, it's almost like he's the one who's going to put the seal on the stamp or on the envelope. It's Rickey Smiley. So it's more than an opportunity. So I think somebody made in the comments, making $70,000, and not having to cut their dress or whatever. $70,000 versus 6 figures, that's the big difference. And so what we have to learn how to do is, I think you mentioned something about the church just a minute ago. We got to learn how to separate the church from the state. This is business, what Rickey's talking about. So as it relates to the church, yeah, it shouldn't be no strings attached. You should take me as I am, right, for an opportunity. But when it comes to business, I can put whatever, it's like a contract. Whatever I want to tie to that, that's what you need to follow. So again, I think Rickey was just testing the guy, just like Steve Harvey tested him and say, hey, put a suit on. And if Rickey Smiley would have never changed his wardrobe, he would not be at the place he's at today because he wouldn't have followed the instructions of Steve Harvey. So, but since he followed those instructions, he's there. That's an open door.
No, Brad, listen.
Yes,
Look.
Okay.
Oh,
that's
listen.
an open door.
Okay, first of all, let me read this coming from this young lady, and thank you again for chiming in. Please make sure you like and share. Go to our Facebook page, YouTube, most definitely. We're on Twitter because we are streaming simultaneously on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at the same time. She says, I have to agree with the test theory, but there should have been a better way to make a determination as to whether or not this relative was serious without exercising the type of what I view as control over the individual. Listen, I hear you, but I'm going to even say this. I don't believe it had anything to do with the test because Rickey Smiley didn't say it. Rickey Smiley never once said that I'm testing this brother. So we're assuming that it was a test. Rickey didn't say that. Rickey was clear. Hold on, Brett, because we're going to go back at it. That's why I love it. Rickey did not say, because we're putting words in his mouth, and people that know me know the last thing I like is for somebody to put words in my mouth that I did not say. Rickey never said I was testing my relative. Rickey was upset because the relative chose not to cut his hair in order to take a job opportunity. And I agree with that relative because guess what? Again, we're not looking at how that made the relative feel. Rickey didn't really get into their relationship. Rickey didn't get into what the relative said. What I can understand because I don't want to assume for this brother. What I can say is I can see why without knowing why he might have chose not to take that opportunity. I don't think it had nothing to do with a test because Rickey would have said, listen, I'm testing my cousin. You know, I'm testing my little nephew to see if he really want to get it. It says, and I get y'all, I see y'all angry and shit. Hold on, Doc. Let me talk my shit. Let me talk it. I'm gonna let y'all talk because we're gonna have some fun with this conversation. Tag Rickey Smiley if you in with him. Because I want his ass, and I will shoot him a link for him to really explain himself. I think you're faking your outrage. First of all, I would never, let me say this again. I would never, if I got a connection, put a string to my connection. Never. I would never, if it doesn't require it, because first of all, I'm going to get all the information on the opportunity I'm going to present to you in the first place. I'm going to lay out to you, this is the situation with what I can put you in a position to do. Off bat. Now, would I tell him maybe, hey, listen, if you go speak to him, because this is your first interview or whatever, you need to dress nice. That's common sense. Don't go in front of nobody because it's an interview. Everybody know you need to dress nice. Now, how your dress nice look, that's up to you. If it's slacks, shirts, whatever, just make sure you're presentable for when you speaking to them. But I would never put a string to something that I can elevate you in. And again, that's just me. Diamond, come on, talk to me, and then we go pass it to the brat because I know she like her. So come on, Diamond.
I think like just like I agree very well with the Brad. It's about we're talking about Rickey Smiley. So even though he used the word opportunity, yes, I definitely believe it was going somewhere else. But I'm gonna say this because we all are leery of what we will do and what we won't do for someone, and we all have a point of I will do this for X, Y, and Z, or I will not do this for X, Y, and Z. At the end of the day, he presented him with an opportunity, and the relative had a choice. Regardless if it's strings or what, because we all in some shape, form, or fashion, we have put a string on someone else in some kind of way. So regardless of that, at the end of the day, it was, hey, this is an opportunity. For this opportunity, you need to do X, Y, and Z. You have a choice. You either do it or you don't do it. Just like with anything else, it's a choice. The relative chose not to do it for whatever reason. You know, we don't even know how this relative looks. He could have Lil Wayne locks walking around.
Yeah, you're fooling.
Some of that mess off if that's what his locks look like. I'm like, Rickey, cut this mess off. You ain't gonna use my name walking around here with one lock over her head.
You're fooling.
But I'm just saying.
You assuming.
It's a business contract, but at the same time, it's also no choice. What you will do and what you won't do. It's that simple. You either take the opportunity or you don't.
Or you leave it. Right.
You either take it or you don't. He chose not to take it. So, okay, he didn't take it. So, he missed out on. But like you said, Rickey painted a picture and gave a little background information. So, that's why we all like, if I was in that situation, yes, I would have took that opportunity because right now I don't have anything. And yes, there are people with locks that's making X, Y amount of money. There are some making 6 figures. But at the end of the day, you didn't go do that on your own because that's why you in this situation that you need some help. Exactly. So to get that help,
exactly.
then sometimes as a professional, sometimes about you got to get ugly for it. How ugly are you willing to get? Okay, I'm gonna stop. Time out, Ralph. Yeah, let's
God
go.
damn. Listen, I'm listening to you talk, and you know I'm being funny, right? But I just thought
Right.
about something. He referenced Steve Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
But Steve Harvey was the same man that told Monique that she needed to lay down her morals and shut the hell up and get her money. See, see, it's so much. Steve Harvey, the same person on TV that told a black woman who work in an industry where they're paid less than their male counterparts, than their white counterparts. Damn your moral stance. Shut up and get this money. And he had to come back, backtrack, and then try to fix that. But he spoke from the damn heart. So when Rickey mentioned Steve, and again, let's mention Steve was in a position where I'm the headliner.
Mm-hmm.
You are on my show. I have a standard for my show. I get that because he's in a position to demand that because you're getting money from me. Because that's how that work in the comedy game. If y'all don't know, they're gonna pay the headliner, but from the headliner, that money trickles down. And so, hey, listen, that's not a good look for what I'm trying to present on the show. If I'm gonna come on last in a suit, I need you to set the tone for me. You get what I'm saying? Understand, since we're talking about difference, understand that difference. I'm going to be coming on last and I'm going to be decked out in a suit. You're not representing my image in a jogging suit. Now, if I was in jogging suit and t-shirts, that would be fine. But again, he's in a position to do that. I just don't think Rickey was in that position because then again, there goes that bias, was actually in a position to tell this brother to change up his hair because I'm the one that's hooking you up with this opportunity. With that being said, because we can go on all day, let's go on and switch gears because I know if we're going back and forth about this, we might just go back and forth about this next conversation. For you guys who've been watching on social media, this brother by the name of Derrick Jaxn made headlines, waves across social media because he's supposed to be this self-entitled relationship guru. If you've ever watched him on video, he's normally doing a video in his car, and he's always and his message is geared toward women. And I would call it trying to give women the game on what they shouldn't deserve, and this is what a real man is. You know, the whole nine. What I call men who just cater to women. Just, you know, I'm making a living in my following based off just catering to what women want to hear. It was revealed that 3 women so far have come out who have had relationships with this brother. But this brother's also married. They went on to do a video. He apologized. Woo, 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 woo. I mean, we can go on and on with this story. But, you know, the story doesn't end until we talk about it. And guess what? Since we come on Sunday, we're going to be the last to talk about it. And then y'all can shut this shit down and we can go on to something else. So with that being said, Brad, since you've been talk to us. What's up? What's going on? I'm sure you had to do a little work. What do you think about this situation? With have you ever seen him before? Do you know who this brother is?
No, I've listened to him a couple of times on social media. I'm sure we all have. You know, he's very known for relationship advice. So when I heard the story that came out, my initial response is what's done in private that does not need a public apology. To me, he should not came public with it unless, you know, these other women was making threats towards him. That's my take on it. You know, if they're making threats, trying to get money, trying to discredit him, I can see why he went public. But if they were not doing all that, I don't see what's the point of him even making a video with his wife. As long as he, you know, asks God, because he brought up, you know, now that he has a relationship with God, he asks for forgiveness, and, you know, his mentality has changed about some things. And I believe he even stated, you know, while he was giving advice, you know, they was going through their healing process also. So I just believe, you know, if God forgive him and his wife forgave him, there was no need to make a public apology, because now it's almost like his credibility has just been shot. But if the women were making threats, you know, as far as going public, I could see why he done it that way.
Donna?
Okay, so first of all, I had never heard of him, didn't know anything about him until this story hit. From my understanding, the women, one of the ladies, I can't remember her name, but she actually was giving out information and giving out pictures. She was on another podcaster show where she gave the information out, and that's kind of what made him go public. But again, I truly believe their standards for their relationship is their standard. Whatever happened in that relationship, as long as, of course, we all believe, yes, you get forgiveness for God, but as long as she forgave him and she's willing to stay with him and work out whatever issues they have, then we don't have no justification. We don't have no say so. That's a marriage. That's their relationship, and that's up to them to set those guides and those standards of what we will and will not go through. And it's also up to her to decide, am I going to stay or not stay? We've all, I'm sure, been involved, whether married or not, in some type of relationship where you had to make a decision to either stay or leave. So it's up to that person. And once she made the decision to stand by him, take him back, forgive him, whatever, then us as the public, I don't feel we have a say so in it. I see him coming forth, you know, because of the other lady. But honestly, I don't even think you owed us an apology. I think you owed your wife an apology. And it was more than likely that you needed to do that and keep it mainstream. I think had he not came out with the apology, they wouldn't be in the media as much. So you would have been able to hold that privacy level a little bit more. And if she was cool with y'all, regardless of them coming out with whatever, if your wife was cool with you keeping this over here and doing that, I honestly think that would have been better off. I think by them coming up with this apology, it brought more attention. Because like I say, I didn't even know who he was, had never heard of him until this whole apology stuff came out. So I definitely believe in what happens at the house, as long as you can keep it there and contained, that's what you do. The less you bring out to the public, the better off you are.
Okay, gotcha. So I am like you guys too. One of my friends, she hit me up and she was like, "Hey, have you heard about what's going on with this Derrick Jaxn guy?" And if you're on Facebook, at some point, you know, they have an app where they have a section where you can watch videos, and if you might just scroll and pop across them. I've never really listened to this dude. First of all, I'm not going to listen to a dude who pandered to women. That shit is not going to happen. It ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Now, let me say that again. I'm not going to listen to now nigga who's pandering to women only. And so if it didn't take long to start watching a couple of his videos to see the game. And what I call it is, for instance, I'm the opposite of Derrick. They call me, and I have to correct this shit. Somebody sent me a picture that said, "You act like Kevin Samuel." No, Kevin Samuel act like me. Listen, I've been doing this shit on social media. A lot of these people just pop and go viral. I've been viral before too. It was different reason, but I'm along the line of the Kevin Samuel type. I'd rather be honest with women about what's really going on from a male perspective. And just like Kevin Samuel and other brothers who are like him, me, because I get it all the time on social media. Listen, I've lost so many Facebook friends of females because they done got pissed off for some shit. I don't know none of y'all personally. But because I'm going to be honest, whereas you have him who's on the other side who literally presents a different situation where he talks as a man trying to speak for all men, and he claims to act like he has all the answers. And so, of course, no, I'm not going to listen to a guy who act like he got all the damn answers. I don't have all the answers. You get what I'm saying? To me, you know, after watching it, looking at these videos, and I made several statements about this situation on my social media page, in which we're going to also talk and add to this conversation. First and foremost, Charlemagne summed him up very well. If you guys haven't watched Charlemagne's Donkey of the Day, because he gave Derrick Jaxn Donkey of the Day, go to YouTube, go watch Charlemagne's video on Donkey of the Day. Derrick Jaxn is your classic narcissist. If you never knew what it was and you want it to be explained to you in layman terms, go watch Charlemagne give him Donkey of the Day, because he mentions to him several points in which are specifically to narcissists, and he is a classic narcissist. I called him a walking hypocrite. The same guy that's trying to tell women about men and cheating, what not to accept. Woo, woo, woo. You go down the line of it. If you've ever followed him, he is the epitome of the very thing in which he's trying to tell women to avoid. I hate walking hypocrites. He is a walking hypocrite. Number two. So in this case, I think we go all kinds of agree, because I'm against people who preach one thing and they do something totally different, because I'm the total opposite. If I give that advice, best believe I practice that shit in real life. So if I tell a woman, say, man, you need to walk away from a dude that's continually cheating, you know why I'm giving you that advice? Because guess what? If I'm messing with any woman and I see you just on some dumb shit, let alone hollering at other men, I'm going to go on and let your ass go. I'm not even going to stay around. We're not going to have a conversation like that, maybe one. If I see you still on the same BS, I'm going to keep it moving. What was really striking to me, and I had to do my little research, is the last young lady basically blew the lid off this brother. Hypocrisy. What we come to find out and what she exposed is that this dude is literally doing videos in front of her home. Let me say that again. She literally says, when y'all watching those videos, he is doing it from my damn crib. So let's get this straight. You're supposed to be the relationship expert while cheating, trying to tell women to avoid the man he is. That shit is confusing. That's it. Then the woman, because I honestly didn't really kind of believe the women from at first, because you know you're on a gossip show, Tasha K, I believe that's her name. You're on the show talking, but there are no receipts. But this woman has texts where he's going back and forth with her. No, I can explain to you, because this woman is literally just finding out that he's married. All of this. Now, if we didn't know who he was in real life, if you don't follow him in that shit, just imagine this woman, and I believe she's a doctor, who in her world, he just a dude she met. And now it's coming out. And of course, you know, she's on social media. She probably seeing her friends talking about some shit. And she like, wait, hold on. I met with that dude. And he's literally still trying to have a conversation with this woman while in the middle of his mess. So that's why, you know, that goes back to what I said in why I don't listen to men who pander to women. Secondly, let's get to this wife. You know, people made fun of this woman because she chose to stay. And I agree with you ladies on if she, because that might not be her deal breaker. So, you know, if they discussed it, if they already knew in advance, kind of like the Jada situation in Will Smith, where, you know, this is just really now coming to life, but this is over 5-6 years ago. You know, y'all just now finding out about it now, where it's resurfacing. I understand it. I put a post on social media that said, you know, this woman is literally living the word of God and trying to apply it to her life and her marriage. And the women, specifically women, have a problem with her doing that. Man, you know how many church women I thought about? Like, where were the church women rallying around this sister? Because she's literally using the word of God for her situation. But she's been dragged. She's been told she should have dressed up for the video. Why she on the video in a bunny? And I'm like, who gives a damn? She at home. Who she got to dress up for? That might not even be her character to dress up. I'm at home. I'm relaxed. I'm doing a video with my husband. And so I want to know, y'all talked about that. Here it is, because let's be real, the church is made up more women than men.
Exactly.
Right.
Real. If you don't know the statistics, women keep the church going. But never once on my social media page did I see a woman of the church come to her defense. I want to know why. Y'all talk to me. Here we have a woman who's trying to live by her vows. Because we know he ain't shit. We ain't even, my focus wasn't really on him. My focus was on her.
Mm-hmm.
Where were the church folks to rally around this young lady? A woman who's trying to use the word of God in her marriage, in her life. And she talks about it. Listen, I can't forgive nobody. We moved past this. She said all that. The only person that got the power to forgive is Jesus Christ, and it's the blood. I mean, I have a video. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me play this video. I keep shit on deck. Let me go into the video. And I'm gonna let it play. It's about 6 minutes. And we're gonna play this video, and this goes to what I am speaking about. I want to know where the church women, where the church folks. Because them same women that were talking that shit, I guarantee you they show up at church on Sunday. They crying in church. Lord, forgive me. I know they doing it. So let's go into this video right here. Here she is. She came back after the other video.
Hey world, this is Derrick Jaxn here. Here to answer the question. I keep on getting this question. Why now did Derrick beat you and drag you to save him? Well, first let me say that only Jesus Christ can save Derrick. Okay, only Jesus can save him. He has already done that. And now Derrick is laying in the bed that he made with the actions that he took. And the only person that saved him from that and can save him from it is Jesus Christ. I can't do anything, say anything to do that. His actions were his actions, and unfortunately other people decided that they wanted to take whatever they wanted to do and run with that, but no weapons formed against us shall prosper on that piece. Why am I speaking now? I've come to confront the issue that says you cannot be healed, that it takes this amount of time for you to be healed, that you have to be depressed, have anxiety, hide your face, you once a cheater, always a cheater, you are this and we are this and we are that. You can never overcome a situation. There's always someone better. Well, those are lies from the pit of hell. Because what we don't understand is that there is a spiritual war going on. So though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. So when we understand it and we understand the things that are behind the action and the behavior, then we know that, hey, there is a spiritual battle that is going on, and I've come to confront and to reveal the plot and the scheme of the enemy that says you cannot have this, you cannot be healed, you cannot be set free, you have to stay in bondage, you have to leave, you have to divorce X, Y, Z, and the third because of this thing. Well, you do not have to do those things. Just because something is dead does not mean it cannot be resurrected by the blood of Jesus Christ, by the resurrection power of Jesus Christ. And that is what he did in our situation. So I've come to testify. I've come to be a witness to you. I've come to set me free. I've come to share the pain and to testify. I know the pain that comes from certain aspects of this type of situation, but that does not define who you are. You don't have to stay in bondage to that. You don't have to stay with bitter roots that says, forget this person, forget marriage, forget all of these things, because those are roots of bitterness and anger, and that requires deliverance. So I've come to be a witness, as my Lord and Savior has commanded me to be. Second to that, I never had a desire to come and speak to the public in this capacity, and being attached to someone who is a great public figure, a great orator, who presents himself well, can be a lot to deal with, especially with coming to the world who says you have to look a certain way, you have to sit up proper a certain way, you have to articulate yourself a certain way, you have to wear your hair a certain way, you have to do all of these things, which I'm not. I don't get up to that. I don't care about these things that says, oh, I have to do all these things, I have to wear a certain thing, I have to have the right lighting and all these things. That is not my ministry. Okay, I'm going to be who the Lord has told me to be. He told me I am his daughter, I am his warrior. He told me the day of Jaxn, arise and testify and speak and spread the word of the gospel and spread the good news that I heal, I deliver, I set free, I resurrect from the dead. He can resurrect your finances, he can resurrect your marriage, he can resurrect you, he can resurrect every aspect of your life, because we can do nothing without him. And when we learn that, then we are able to move freely and have the peace that we deserve. So when the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy your marriage, you, your family, you can disarm him with the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony. You can disarm him with not allowing him and exposing the plot and the scheme of the enemy that says you cannot recover. You cannot have healing. That you are this and you are that. Well, Satan is a lie. And I've come to share that. That is what I have to offer out of all of this. So what the enemy has meant for evil in this situation that has become public is been turned for good. And with that, I will do as I'm commanded to do by my Master, Jesus Christ. And I will confront these issues head on. And for those who have shared that they have been inspired, that they are finding strength in their own situations, I want to say be encouraged. It is a journey and a process, and you have the Lord as your shield and your mighty buckler to push through. Speak with boldness, speak with no fear, be unashamed of who you are and what the Lord has called you to do, and the healing that he has given to you, no matter what the situation is. So that's all I have to say on that. Again, I appreciate everybody who has been inspired, who has shown love, who is rooting for us, and for everybody else, every demonic tongue speaking against us be condemned now in the name of Jesus. I release the blessings of the Lord upon your lives, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Okay, so we've heard from the horse's mouth. Now, y'all talk to me, because I got questions. I get where she coming from. If you are and you got to be a Christian to understand her. If you're not a Christian, you don't get it. But what if you sleeping with the enemy? Because the Bible never says be a fool. The Bible didn't say, he said forgive 7 times and woo, 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 if you know that whole scripture. But the Bible never talks about being a damn fool. And so, what if you're sleeping with the enemy, because it goes back to Derrick, and like I said, he is a narcissist. Um, he never held himself accountable. He said, "Yes, I did it," But see, there's a difference in acknowledging and holding yourself really accountable for what you've done. And so, it's one thing to acknowledge, yeah, I cheated, but I really didn't hold myself accountable. That's not accountability. That's not accountability. What happened was the shift went from Derrick,
Mm-hmm.
and the blame went to the devil. We hear it all the time. The devil made me. The devil busy today. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, the devil got the best of me, and I always say, listen, we are so quick to lay blame on the devil. Damn it, it was just you. It was just you. Yes, the devil is busy, but damn it, it was just you.
Right.
It's you. Hold yourself accountable instead of trying to, and that's what he did. And then he has his wife who comes in and she speaks. And basically what she does is she confirms what he's also doing, which is blaming the devil. Y'all talk to me. What are y'all thoughts about this? What's up, Brett?
I just by listening to her, we can tell that she is a woman of God, woman of faith. We see that because she's referring everything back to Bible and being a good wife, and the enemy, the devil. You asked the question, why the church women are not rally around her or coming to her defense. That was your question, right? Too.
Right.
Well, probably because some of the church women probably have went to her in private, and maybe encouraged her. But reality is the church women are struggling with the same thing.
Oh, I just wanted somebody to say the shit. It's a setup. It was an alley.
Right. It's the same struggle. So it's going to be hard for me to come to you and comfort you when I'm struggling with the same issue with my spouse, so to speak. By him being in the public eye, like she was talking about. It's hard. It's a struggle. So I believe some people are going to her in private, the church women, but some women just can't. It's hard for me to show compassion and just be kind if I'm dealing with the same issue and I don't know what to do. So she's wavering between standing on the word of God and also Derrick making a choice just to cheat. Like you said, we can't blame everything on the devil.
Right.
Some stuff because God give us free will. We just do some stuff because we just simply want to do it. So I see a wife that's trying her best as a woman of God to stand on the word in hope that her husband's going to change. But then I also see a wife who's able to hear the voice of God and will leave, I believe, if God releases her to leave. So we can sit here and say, she's dumb and she should leave. But I guarantee you the women who's saying that she's dumb and she should leave have been through the same stuff. I know I have. We have stayed in places where that man or that female for the guys have done stuff over and over again, and we knew about it. It's not like, to me, I think she knew about it the entire time. Because if you're that in tune with God, we don't need evidence. All we need is a word from God, or that woman's intuition is what we like to call it. So I believe, back to your question, I believe women of God have went to her in privately. We don't have to make a Facebook Live post to say, hey, we're supporting you. But I also believe that the church women are struggling with the same issues as it relates to pastors or people who are held at a higher standard. So it's hard to show compassion and confront something if I'm struggling with the same issue you are.
Okay, I agree with that. I just got to say this one thing, and I'm gonna let Diamond say what she has to say. But we also got to call out the hypocrites in the church too, because that's one side of it. The other side of it too is, see, a lot of the people who are condemning her and telling her to leave are the same ones that are praying to God and running to the church also. Is my thing. Everybody's not a heathen out there. All the women out here ain't heathen, but you have a lot of them who are going to church and yet they're telling her to leave. And that goes back to the post I made. Here it is. Now we've seen the real devils come out because here is a woman who's trying to stand on the word, and you have a segment of people, because I don't know if they go to church or not, but I'm sure a lot of these women who go to church on Sunday on the regular get a tithes are saying you should leave. And I'm like, but y'all knocking her for holding to her vows?
Exactly.
Well, I would hope, because again, you're right. God also give you what they call discernment too.
That's right.
And so it will be my hope that this woman is not so blind that, because I fear he might make her look like a damn fool when it's all said and done. You get what I'm saying? I mean, because again, it is very dangerous to talk to a narcissist. That is one of 7 mental or personality disorders. That's major. We ain't talking about people who always post on the social media narcissists, like the picture of themselves narcissists. We ain't talking about that. We're talking about clinically science study, psychological narcissists. The one that shifts blame. Again, go back and watch Charlemagne give him Donkey of the Day. If you want to understand what the hell a narcissist is, listen, he breaks it down very well, where the blame will shift from me as a man to let's blame the devil. And he's been busy. He's been busy with you 3 times. Nigga, he's been busy with you 3 times that we know of. And we ain't talking about one accident with 3 different women. We're talking about multiple situations with 3 different women. And so, damn, the devil making you do that all the time? No. And so, on one hand, I can see him. I can understand why a narcissist married her. Again, a narcissist is mental. I can see why he married her. It makes sense, because she's committed to stand on what she believes in. And because she believes in that, I can accept his toxic behavior, because make no mistake about it, narcissism is toxic. You know what I'm saying? And so I just hope that she also has that spirit of discernment too. Because again, if you watch the first video, she did say she left. But she also goes on to say that, he showed a change. We don't know what that change looked like, because again, that 3rd woman is what did it for me.
Yeah. See,
the 3rd woman got like, you love me and we supposed to be Christians together. But now this woman is coming out and saying, well, damn, you doing these videos in front of my crib, but you still texting me. Because you can see, if you go look this shit up, man, she literally says, I didn't even know who you were. And I believe it, because we didn't know who the hell he was. But he's major. Listen, if you go see him, he's major. He got books. That boy got about a million some followers. He major. Just because we didn't know it don't mean shit. Listen, he major. You got a million some followers. He's bringing in a hell of a lot of money. I guarantee you that. Yeah. Selling his BS. And I summed it this way, and I'm gonna turn it up to Diamond. A brother on my Facebook page said, you know what, boss? You the first person that explained it to where I understand this brother. First and foremost, he's a walking hypocrite. I've already stated that. Secondly, he sells BS to basic women who will fall for his shit. That's summed up in a nutshell. He's selling his BS to basic women who fall for his BS. Diamond, talk to me. What's up? What you think about that video?
So, first of all, I can see where she is. I can see her point of view. But I also know that as a Christian and as a believer, I know that there are some things that God puts in our path that we tend to follow. So I'm praying and hoping that she does have discernment to know if this path continues, what to do. Because like I said before, what she decides to do in her relationship, whether it's spiritual or not, that's her decision. If she decides to stay, my only hope is that she's not abused mentally or physically. I really don't think a physical comes into play, but definitely mental, because when you're dealing with a narcissist behavior, you do go through mental things. But I
Mm-hmm.
also pray and hope that she has that backup and continues to have their relationship with God to get her from A to B, wherever her path takes her, wherever her direction takes her. Now, you asked, I agree with Brad, you asked the question about where are the Christian women in this situation that have her back. I believe that there are women that have went to her. Everybody don't have to broadcast everything on social media. But I will also say that I have seen women even broadcast things on social media. They taking the beautiful pictures of her and shared them like, hey, because you had people talking about, oh, why she have a bonnet on and why you do this. But at the end of the day, those are people that have issues as well, because we tend to be so judgmental and thinking you have to be this. Guess what? At the moment she came on that video with him with that bonnet on, we have to realize she's still going through something. And there are times when you're going through something, you're not always going to be at your best. You're not always going to look your best. We have those moments. And at that particular time, not only did she tell us, first of all, that's not me. That's not who I am. But as human beings, we know this baby is going through something. When you not only did your husband cheat on you, but it's in public. So you not only have to deal with the situation within your relationship, you also have to deal with a whole nother monster that this stuff is worldwide. This stuff is public, which brings it to a whole nother level, a whole nother issue that she's having to deal with. And she made the video coming back, and even when she came back, guess what? She stayed true to who she was, because she came back with her baseball cap. And she's like, say, hey, this is me. I'm not the glamour girl. That's not what I do. I don't choose to be in the limelight. That's his decision. Now, who he is, the being a narcissist and blaming everything on the devil. We go to church with those people. We see Sister Sally right next door. Oh, the Lord. We've grown up with that. We've seen that, especially if you are a believer or a church goer. You've seen those behaviors. You've seen those things. And I'm like, what he did is what he did. He cheated. He's a narcissist. Yes, you wrote books, but guess what? Those books was his avenue of making it, because there's plenty of people out here writing these liar books. So as humans, you have to discern what works for you. Why would you even believe that? Because you've never known if he was married or not married. So how can a man that you know nothing about tell you about a relationship anyway? Because if I'm having a relationship issue, first of all, I'm not going to believe somebody I never met anyway. I'm going to take it home. I'm gonna have to let somebody that I trust and believe in, and that's went through something. Because if you've never been married, you can't tell me anything about a relationship because you haven't been there. But you've been married 2 or 3 times. Guess what? You can tell me your successes and your failures, because you know what you did right and you know what you did wrong. So to just go out and buy a book from a relationship guru, guess what? That was his gimmick. And in business world, you have your gimmick, you have your buy-in too. That was his buy-in too. That's what people did. That's what they believe. For me, that's not even an issue. That's about making that dollar. My concern is more on her, because you did choose to stay in this relationship. So as a Christian woman, whether I know you or not, because it is public, so I know there's more on your plate and more on your shoulders, I'm gonna keep you in prayer. That whatever direction and whatever path that God is taking you down, that you're strong enough to endure it. And that if God is telling you to walk away, that you catch that signal. Because sometimes God let us bump our heads a few times, regardless of how human we are. Oh yeah, I'm finna run, I'm gonna leave. We all know we talk the talk. It's easy to talk the talk. It's a whole nother line when you say walk that walk. So exactly. It's not for me to say, oh girl, leave. That's not for me. But what is for me is to be like, you know what? That's my sister. I don't know her, but she's going through something. What I do know how to do is pray that whatever way God leads her in her path, that she follows that path. If this is her testimony, that my husband cheated on me 500 times and I stayed with him and we finally worked it out and got it right, then that's her testimony and that's her trial. And when we go through trials and tribulations, that's what we need. We need a trial behind us praying that we make it through that trial and that tribulation. That's my job as a sister, as a woman in Christ, as a believer. So it's not my job to judge whether she stay or go. That's not my job. That's not even my business. But if you are being abused, it's my business because I have a nonprofit organization in which I am an advocate for victims of domestic violence. So if she's being abused, it becomes my job because I put myself in that position for it to be my job. But even with that being my job, there's only so much I can do because if you're not, because when a woman's fed up, listen, when she's fed up and fed up, it ain't nothing you, the song is true. It ain't nothing you can do about it. Because when she is fed up, she's gonna leave. She's gonna do something. Usually when you have those domestic violence situations and some of them women end up getting killed or whatever, it's because at that moment when they got fed up, that's when they decided to fight back, and maybe they didn't have all the resources they needed to completely fight back. But at the end of the day, when a woman's fed up, there's nothing you can do about it. When we're at that breaking point, and evidently she's not there. She has that strength or whatever, and maybe she is fed up, but she also is a believer and she has God's guidance. So she's good in where she's at. And all we can do as people is to support her in where she's good. That's our problem. We always in somebody else's business. And I'm gonna start preaching and gonna let you have it back because Sister Jones was about to come on out.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, again, we got to talk about. I really wasn't going to bring it to the show because he really wasn't really working. But what made me want to talk about it was the same black women who talk about black women being so devalued. Black women attacked this woman, and so again, it goes back to hypocrisy. Because again, he ain't shit. I'm just gonna say it. It is what it is. It's not even about being human. Of course, we're going to make mistakes, but it's no longer a mistake when you keep doing the same thing over and over. That's not a mistake. That's intentional. Mm-hmm. And so we know what he is. We see what he is. But what made me bring up this conversation was her. And then the fact that, again, where we have black women on social media who are always talking about black women and black women being so unprotected, I'm like, but black women are attacking another black woman. Here's the opportunity to be like, applaud her. And then she said, yes, of course, there are people who are applauding her. Because, I mean, again, we live in a world where we all don't think alike. But we live in a social media world where you go see more people who doing a certain thing versus another thing as well. And so in social media, there are more women. That's why I said, and a lot of them are church women who are condemning her and telling her to leave. And as I said this, and we go keep it moving as I look at the time, a lot of you women are going back and forth with a nigga that ain't even your husband.
That part. That
right there. That part.
So, as Diamond said, and I truly agree, if your ass ain't never been married, I don't care if you're married and divorced, you can't tell me shit. And please forgive me, sister.
No,
this is, I'm going to talk my shit. We don't,
Yes.
But the truth is, and I mean that, and I've said that to a lot of women. You don't impress me with your little 6-year relationship. My 4 years it weighs more on your 10. You don't get no benefit from that. How many times that nigga might have did whatever? So I mean that. You go back and forth with niggas who ain't yours. He ain't your husband. He ain't. It's what I call it's called situational. If I'm dating a woman and I choose not to cheat, that's by my choice.
Right.
I'm not really held to an obligation to you. I'm not held to any vows. I don't have a real commitment. I'm just choosing not to do it. What's up, Brad? Talk to me. I see you got something to say.
Yeah, and I was going to say that at the end of the day, it's her choice. She know what she married.
Right.
And so if she chooses to stay, guess what? It's her choice. It's her choice to stay. And I'm glad you brought that up about, black women always bashing other black women. Yeah, you could be married for 10 years, but if you don't cry for 9, that don't make you no better. That don't make you no better than her situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because you done been through hell the entire 10 years. So
Right.
we need to stop bashing each other and show compassion, start praying for one another, because I guarantee you, some of us have been through the same stuff that she's went through.
Yeah, it's a misunderstanding. And like I said, that's what brought up this conversation. It wasn't so much him. I know what he is.
Yeah.
He's scum. He low. I'm not trying to be funny, but it's just the truth. He's catering to women only. He's not presenting both sides of the story.
Right.
He's not teaching women to be accountable. He's not saying, hey, as a black woman, he's only speaking a lopsided. That's the lowest of the low to me. If I'm gonna tell it to you, I'm gonna tell you both sides of it. I'm not gonna come from just one perspective. No, because I'm really being very low in my intentions. And so again, as I said, and we're gonna move on to our last story that I really want us to get to, and I mean this, and I'm gonna end on that. A lot of you women, black women, are going back and forth with a nigga that ain't even your husband. And if that is you, this is where you sit somewhere and very small. And so with that being said, we're gonna keep it moving. Last Sunday, as we get to the end of this show. Last Sunday, I shared a video of a black coach of a HBCU who is teaching his basketball players how to interact with the police. And we had a great conversation last Sunday. We all gave our opinions on it, and we were all passionate about our stances on why it should be necessary, why I felt that it's not, because I don't believe in that shit. And now we have a story that came out about a young brother, and he goes by the name of Marion Humphrey Jr. Just a little bit of background about this brother. He is a junior at the University of Arkansas. He's also a law student. He made headlines because last August, he was traveling back to Little Rock, Arkansas, where he's from, because then in the pandemic, all colleges shut down, if you remember. And so they were offering nothing but online classes. He felt the need to head back that way because he could be closer to his home. And in that process of him driving a U-Haul with his things back to Little Rock, Arkansas, he was pulled over by a state trooper by the name of Stephen Payton. Stephen Payton pulled him over and, in short, basically ridiculed him as, for one, still being in college at 32, law school. Like, clearly this state trooper don't know how long it takes to get a goddamn law degree. Like, I mean, you don't know, it takes a while. But he also mocked him for calling his father. And again, if you saw last Sunday's show, I told you guys, whenever I'm pulled over by the police, I'm already automatically contacting two people. One of my fraternity brothers and my family. And so I felt that it was important to hold this conversation and bring this story to life for one sole reason. That I want people to understand who are watching that you as a person of color do not control your situation with the police. I did not state that last Sunday. But this story is a classic example of my stance on why teaching and thinking us getting to get our boys and having a conversation with them somehow changes the outcome of how you're handled. And again, the whole purpose of having this conversation is to let you know, if you did not know, when you encounter a police officer, state trooper, whoever he is, you're really not in control of the situation. You're not. Now it is in the hands of said police officer, said state trooper. So let me get in more to depth in what's going on, and I'm going to read this. This brother eventually filed a lawsuit, and it says, according to the lawsuit, Humphreys was preparing for his third year of law school at the University of Arkansas. Coursework at the University of Fayetteville campus shut down last fall due to COVID. The story goes on to say that Humphreys rented a Ford F450 15-foot box truck from U-Haul and loaded it with bed, furniture, etc. It goes on to say that He was driving eastbound on Interstate 40 and 90 miles west of Little Rock, past Trooper Payne, who was camped out on the highway median. The story goes on to say that Payne began trailing both vehicles. Or let me go back. It says Payne documented in the encounter in a memo he submitted to the supervisor 4 days later. According to that report, the trooper initially said Humphrey's U-Haul appeared to be traveling together with a Cadillac Escalade a few car lengths ahead. Payne began trailing both vehicles and pulled ahead of the U-Haul. He claimed that the driver appeared extremely nervous, although Humphrey was still sitting back too far back in his seat for the trooper to see him. Payne found it fishy that Humphrey kept his attention on the road ahead and never turned to look in the direction. He described Humphrey as having a tight grip on the steering wheel, and it just goes on. Again, there's a lawsuit that is pending, and so I'm gonna stop right there as we dig deep into this story. Again, for you guys who know my stance on it, it's important to hold these conversations because this didn't hit the local news here in Dallas, Texas. It didn't, and so we oftentimes don't really see what really happens in encounters with people of color. We hear the major stories where folks get shot, but just these stories, they don't really get highlighted. And so let's talk about it. As I stated, and I'm going to turn it over to you ladies, we, for some strange reason, believe that we are in control of our encounters with the police. We're told, if you say yes, no, if you don't make any sudden moves, we know all the stories. We know them by now. It's like literally beating our head now. But this brother didn't do nothing but drive a U-Haul truck. And again, I want to point something out. The Payne, State Trooper Payne said, I started following him because it seemed like he was following a Escalade. And I'm going to tell my personal story, which I didn't tell last Sunday, because what I did say is that I've been pulled over before by police officers. My son had to be about, I want to say maybe 6 or 7 at the time. He was playing Little League football. I had just finished playing the Little League game or watching the Little League game, and I was on my way to Lubbock, Texas. And if you know anything about Lubbock, when you start driving west, ain't nothing out there that way. Mm-hmm. Absolutely nothing. You are shit between towns, damn it. So I'm on the freeway and I'm driving my little old green Saturn, and it's just me on the road. This is a Saturday. So we're talking about anywhere between, by this time, I was maybe 2 hours away from Lubbock. So I'm in the middle of no damn where. Ain't nothing in sight. And there was a state trooper on side of the road. He got behind me. He pulled me over. And he was a cool white guy, because 9 times out of 10, these guys are white. He said, "Hey, man, where you going?" I said, and I lied. I said, "I'm going to go visit a family member in Lubbock." The truth was I was going to go see a chick. I was going to go see a chick in Lubbock, but I didn't want to tell him, like, "Yeah, man, I'm going to go see a chick in Lubbock." Like, I didn't want to tell him that. So I was like, "I'm going to go see a family member." In any case, he said, "Well, hey, you was speeding. You was like going 5 or 6 miles over the speed limit, and through this way, there's a lot of drug trafficking." Again, I'm a black guy. I'm in my son's Little League t-shirts and sweatpants, and so I'm like, okay. And he said, "Well, yeah, it just so happened my damn registration sticker was out as well." He said, "And I noticed his registration sticker out." He said, "But do you mind if I search your car?" And again, we, as black people, we do tend to panic. Our encounter with the police doesn't always go well. And so I was nervous, but I wasn't nervous because, I'm standing at the door. He's not aggressive with me. So, I'm kind of cool, but I'm like, I just really want this shit to be over with because I'm trying to get to where I'm really trying to go. And so I consented to him searching my vehicle. I didn't have nothing to hide. I didn't have I didn't have any drugs on me. But I did let him search the vehicle. He searched my vehicle, the inside, my trunk. And he was polite with all that. So again, my encounter with this state trooper wasn't negative. But again, as a black person, we have encounters with police officers. He was like, okay, I didn't find nothing, but I am going to write you a ticket for your registration being out. I'm like, shit, okay, cool. And I kept it moving. Now it wasn't a super bad encounter, but it could have been like this, brother, in which we're going to discuss and jump into. And so you guys have seen the story. I'm sure you guys have read it. I want to know you guys' thoughts about what happened with this young gentleman. Again, we're talking about a brother by the name of what was his first name again? It is Marion Humphrey Jr., who was pulled over on the way home by a state trooper who mocked him and for being still in college and him calling his father. And I want to know y'all thoughts about it. Brett, talk to me. What do you think about the story when you read it?
There's old proverbs that say you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
And to go back to what you stated, being polite is great. And, we see a lot of black men or black fathers teaching black men on how to respond or how to react when police pull you over. That's great. I think it's great. But at the end of the day, it's still going to follow up on that officer. If they pull you over with the intentions to be rude and treat black men a certain kind of way, then really there's nothing you can do about that. So I think we're starting to see a cycle in this, and I actually don't think it will change until the higher ups, the justice system, change it. He's a black man. So, I mean, I didn't expect anything different to happen because he's a black man. It's sad. It's sad that he's being mocked. But that's what we're facing today. That's exactly what we're seeing.
Diamond, talk to me.
Yeah. So let me just say this. I'm not surprised, that it happened because again, he is a black male. We all know there are good cops, there are bad cops, but at the end of the day, when you're stopped by a police officer, you're no longer in control.
Right.
They're in control. And it's pretty much their vibe, what they're going with their situation. I do like the fact that they do have their lawsuit and they do have their receipts because the story that the state trooper is telling is very contradictory of what's even on the webcam that he was wearing. Mm-hmm. And all of that takes into play. And I'm sorry, when I drive my car and there's a police officer that pulls up beside me, I don't look at him either. And I don't look intentionally. I don't want to give you eye contact because then you're going to say, I gave you eye contact, so now I'm looking suspicious. So you're going to pull me over. So it's really, like you say, it's their control. Because one will say, oh, he looked at me, let me pull him over, he looked suspicious. Oh, now he didn't look at me, so he looks suspicious. So it's like we don't have a set of, what you can and what you can't do. That's why I get your whole feel about the talk. But honestly, that's why we have the talk. Because there's not a set standard that guarantees if I don't look at you, you're going to leave me alone. Or if I do look at you, you're going to leave me alone. At the end of the day, the color of my skin makes you decide to pull me over or not. And sometimes I've been pulled over. And not every encounter was bad, but sometimes was I pulled over because I was a black woman driving? Yes, I was. Did they always necessarily give me a ticket or do something or whatever? No, they didn't. But it was very obvious where I was, what was going on, and why I was pulled over. I remember being a teenager. My mom is darker than I am, and we're from Kentucky. And there's a certain part of Tennessee where my mom should not be driving me. And literally before we got through that town, because we had to go through here to get home, guess what? My mama let me drive. because of the color of my skin. Because my mom knew I had a better chance to get through this town than she had to get through this town. Because for whatever reason, we were driving at nighttime, which is something we don't usually do. But I don't remember what actually happened that caused us to be in this situation at this time of the night. But because we were in this situation at this time of the night, we switched drivers. Mind you, I was a teenager, and I wasn't necessarily just driving all the time. But because we knew where we were and we knew the situation, we had a better chance of making it out in this little 30 or 40-minute span that we gonna be through here with me driving versus her driving, just because I am a lighter skin than what she is. So again, we don't know. It's sad that we do go through these situations, because this situation is purely he was pulled over because of the color of his skin. Because maybe he was holding the wheel tight because you got an 18-wheeler hooked up. I'm sorry, not an 18-wheeler, a U-Haul. Because I know when I drive a U-Haul, I hold the steering wheel a little bit tighter than I do when I'm driving my car. When I drive a truck, I hold, because that truck is bigger and has more power, I tend to hold it a little bit more tighter than when I'm driving my car. For one, I'm more comfortable with my car. I drive it all the time. But he had rented a big truck and a U-Haul. So both of these were not of his normal comfort zone. So yeah, you might be holding a little bit tighter to make sure you have gear. But again, this is another classical example of being pulled over while driving black. Just
Right.
And so let me add to this conversation too. It goes back to something that I said last Sunday, that this story actually proved to be true. Is that psychologically, I want you guys to understand, and I honestly want you guys to read this whole article, because it's a very long article detailing what's happened. If you go to the Atlanta Black Star, who actually wrote this article, it's entitled, "I honestly just don't want to get shot. Law student detained by Arkansas State trooper for over an hour doing traffic stop, mocked for calling his father." Go to Atlanta Black Star. You can go to their webpage and you'll be able to find this story, because I want you guys to read all of this, because we're just talking and picking pieces of this story. The story also detailed, because this, again, I just think in the Black community, our focus needs to be more on pushing police accountability.
right.
There are laws in California where police are held accountable now. Seattle, Washington, they are setting the blueprint for police officers to do certain things. But again, you're in Arkansas, that's the South, where this officer who has been, been in situations previously is now on another force. And see, what happens a lot of time with these officers, where they get in trouble, as the article details, they just go to another county over, another police station or another trooper agency over, whatever, to still, do their job. And as I said, what happens is, and this brother really was traumatized. If you read the article, he talks about shaking and being nervous, and he admitted to being so nervous, which was the reason why he was behaving the way he was behaving, as Diamond said. That's why I said psychologically, when we do this to our children, when we do this with our sons and our daughters, we're not understanding the mental side of what we're doing. Because, and as I said in last Sunday, the reason why you're shown all these videos of these black and white police encounters is a form of a psychological fear. I want you to fear when you run across the police. And that's what happened with his brother. He's very much aware as a law student of what he's dealing with, and he's so afraid that he's exhibiting those anxieties. He said he called his daddy, and the officer, this white trooper, basically asked him like, "Damn, how old are you? Are you 16?" He's like, "I'm 32." Understand that a grown ass man is 32 because we just talked about grown ass men with Kurt Franklin's son. A grown ass man still had to reach out to his father because he was so scared because he didn't, when he got arrested, he feared for his life. And if you don't take nothing else from this conversation, in this situation, I want you guys to know that you don't control your encounter with the police officer. You don't. You need to hope that if you're stopped by somebody who is going to be and behave professionally whenever this stop happens. And let's be real, even though the trooper that stopped me on my way to Lubbock, the truth is he didn't really have a real reason to stop me. I was a black guy in a green tinted he said why I stopped you. He gave me the underlying reason because there's a lot of drug trafficking up and down this highway. How the hell he didn't know my registration was expired until he stopped me, right?
Right.
He never stopped me, he would have never known. I didn't see no gun. He didn't show me that he really clocked me going 5 or 6 miles over the speed limit. He didn't show me no gun. He didn't say, hey, listen, because the truth is when those situations happen in speeding, they have to show you that you actually was going over the speed limit. They don't have a damn speed gun in their head. But the difference is that he just, the way he came off, even though he profiled me, he was just polite in his profiling. Let's put it that way. He was nice in asking, can I search your car? I didn't want to know. I just didn't want to be bothered with it, and I didn't have shit to hide. But the truth is that if I stayed there and said no, I would have said, hey, you need to get a search warrant, and that just would have been longer. In the case of this gentleman, as we close, they end up calling after he gave consent. This is how you know he was a hoe ass. Excuse my language, but it's real. This is how you know he wasn't about shit. After badgering this brother to search his U-Haul, he eventually caved in. After he caved in, the freaking trooper still called a police dog, a K9 unit to come out and sniff. Then this is where it gets corrupt. This is why I said you don't control your narrative. I don't give a damn what you talk. You don't control your narrative. The story goes on to say that they call a K9 unit. All of a sudden, the gentleman, other trooper who's controlling the dog, gives a thumbs up to say, warn that the dog sniffs narcotics. They searched this car inside out only to find nothing. Now, of course, he was eventually released, and the reason why we have these lawsuits, and again, if you don't take nothing else from this situation, because these stories are not new, but if you don't take nothing else from this story, I want you to take from the fact that you don't control your narrative. You do not control what's actually going on with your encounter with the police. With that being said, man, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to today's show. I hope you enjoyed the conversation that we brought to you guys today. First and foremost, I also want to say thank you to my guest, Melissa Bratton, aka MD Brat. Correct? Is that not how you? That's a radio show name, right? That's it. Correct? Okay, I'm gonna take that.
Show name? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So again, thank you so much for joining in today's show. Again, you are more than welcome to come hang out with the Petty Crew. I'm going to let you speak shortly. Diamond as well. I always tell you thank you and I love you for rocking with your boy. I really appreciate it. I mean, because you don't have to do it. You always in San Antonio, Texas. So thank you so much for that. Again, please make sure you like and share today's show. Please make sure you go on all our social media pages and like and subscribe to our social media platforms. With that being said, I'm going to give everybody the last words. With that being said, we're going to give our guests the last words. Please let everybody know where they can find you. Plug Spiritual Cocktail Show, and what other information you want to give us.
Well, first, thank you so much, Boss Hogg and Miss Diamond, for having me on your show. I had a blast and great dialogue, great conversation. My name is Melissa Bratton, but you guys can follow me on social media on Facebook as MD Brat. I told Boss Hogg that I have split personalities, so that's be good and bad. So you never know which one person you're gonna get. But yes, follow me on social media, MD Brat. Also, Spiritual Cocktails, a great show.
This is Rickey
You
Smiley.
can do that also. Follow us there. We have great dialogue, and just thank you all again for having me.
Okay, Diamond.
Hi. I was looking. I wanted to show you. Oh, I dropped it. So I know we're closing, but I definitely wanted to do this just because y'all know I've been adamant on the show as far as getting the vaccination. I did say I was definitely going to do research and I might change my mind, but when we first started having the conversation, I definitely was like, I'm not ready for that. I'm not going to do that. I have done research. I have spoken with several trusted doctors that I know personally and have a personal relationship that I actually trusted what they're saying. So I thought it was only fair that I come back to the first place where I actually announced it, because I never really said anything on my own page on social media because I don't always talk about everything. But because I did openly more than once on this show, talked against the vaccination, but I made it known that once I get more information and do my own research, not someone else telling me, what they want me to hear or believe, but me doing what I need to do for myself, then I will make an opinion. So I have officially been 100% vaccinated. I have had both shots. I did not have any major issues except for a swollen arm and some pain. So I did take medication, but other than that, I pretty much was good. And I just wanted to let everybody know that. Other than that, this is your girl Diamond, all the way from San Antonio, Texas. Y'all know you can find me on social media as Nat Loicina J, which is Yolanda Jones spelled backwards. Or you can find YOLO Expressions, which is my custom personalization gift shop where I make t-shirts, cups, jewelry. I do socks. You can find YOLO Expressions on Facebook as well. So if you go there, you can definitely see all the goodies I have that I made customized, and definitely let Diamond customize your life. I want to especially thank Boss Hogg for the opportunity, because as he said, I came to him to tell him, hey, this is what I want to do. And he allowed me to come on his show with no strings attached. I didn't have to cut my hair and get some dreadlocks or anything. And, I get to hang out with him on Sundays. And I also get to, talk when I want to or whatever and be a little petty or not so petty. So I definitely want to thank him because he gave me an opportunity with no strings attached. And I just wanted to say thank you. And you definitely know I appreciate you and love you like the little brother that you are. Or should I say little big brother?
Right.
But anyway, I definitely thank you. I can't wait to hang out with you in a couple of weeks when I get to come to Dallas and we get to do our thing. So definitely thank everyone for joining us. To my girl GCJ, hey, I love you, Sora. Thanks for tuning in. To my co-worker Henderson Curry, I thank you for your input. And to just everybody that listens to us on the regular, whether you're in the U.S. or Africa or wherever you are, we definitely thank you for following us. Don't forget to follow the Petty Crew, subscribe to us on YouTube, and don't forget to share with a friend. Thanks.
Listen, she said everything for me, so I really appreciate that, Diamond. But I did not say, and I'm glad you mentioned this as we close. Diamond is absolutely right. We have been talking about and having this conversation about the vaccinations, since again we are in the middle of a pandemic. as I told Diamond offline, tomorrow I will be taking my first vaccination or my first shot of the vaccination. And so I'm excited and nervous at the same time because I really don't want to have to wait long in this line. Let me give a quick shout out. Shout out to Keith, brother Keith, my fraternity brother. Shout out to Keith Valentine Sr. He's shouting out all the way from Hawaii. Listen, we love it. Thank you for tuning in. Please make sure you go back to today's show because I'm sure you're going to enjoy the earlier conversation. With that being said, I don't want to hold you guys any longer. Again, thank you, MD Brat, for showing us love and accepting my invitation to come. Diamond, thank you as well for rocking with your boy. And looking forward to talking to you guys next Sunday. We're out of here.